we had a I'm in a heating house of in the basement of my mother's place, and we had an issue with this 200-liter violent warm water cylinder. One morning we came down, and the basement full of water, and as you can see, it made some water damage as well, and here were some issues as well. Now, as you can see on the cylinder, all these dents and stuff on the bottom. That is because we had to disconnect all these pipes, and we laid the cylinder down to see if we can see anything obvious in terms of water leakage. Now, obviously, we pumped out some of the water, because 200 liters is quite heavy, and then we laid it down, and that caused all these dents. But this is beyond the point. We took down the plastic from the bottom, and there was no imminent sign of any water. Now, thereafter we blocked the cold water off and pumped it up with air to 6 bar. Now this can take 10 bars maximum. As you can see here, but if you pump it up with air, you need to be very careful not to overdo it, because liquid you can't really press together, but air you can. And the reason, obviously, we pumped up with air to hopefully see where the water comes out, the little hole where the water is escaping. But what I'm saying, no, don't push it up with air, is the fact that if it were to explode, it's gonna kill you. You know, when that compressed air explode, then we're gonna chop your head off with one of those metal parts. But anyway, we did it. We checked it, and the pressure was falling in the meter. But we had a bar meter on, something similar to this. The pressure was falling, but not too much. So we installed the whole thing back, and then we had another problem, and that's where I'm coming to the valves. These valves were put there 33 years ago by my dad. But as you can see, this is cold water, this is warm water, and that's where I also learned a great deal from the plumber, that on water, generally, if it's tap water, never use a ball valve, because when we tried to turn the water off, they started popping. Now this is a pain in the neck, because the plumber we didn't take here to to do extra jobs. We just wanted the cylinder to be checked or swapped over one to one, like to like, so to disconnect these pipes and connect it to the very same cylinder, a new one wouldn't have been a big deal. But now other things occurred, and every single 3 of those steps, when we try to close, they just popped. And I was furious. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, I appreciate 33 years ago, we didn't have much money, and my dad had to use what he had to use. So I don't blame him for that, but you learn from these mistakes. If you're a good plumber, you possibly will know that. If you're a cowboy, then you can learn. And my dad, yes, he was a cowboy because he was an electrician, but he made the effort do the central heating for us, which we obviously completely appreciated. Now, for someone who is an electrician, to knock this out in 1993 without any internet at the time, this is the pressure. After 6 bars, if there is a pressure over 6 bars in the container, in the cylinder, this pressure valve releases a little bit of water to release the pressure for under 6 bar. Now, but why shouldn't you use a ball valve to the cold water or to the hot water, to water generally, to tap water? Because of this. Now, as you can see, lime scale builds up and blocks the valve completely. And when we try to turn it, it just snapped off. Now, the way my dad did it, he turned in that on both sides, those inserts on both sides, and soldered it in. So if this valve goes, you have to cut the pipe, because you can't take the valve out. It's impossible. So now the plumber had to cut the pipes, take the valve out, and put the rubber, to put that other valve in, which has a rubber seal. And I will explain what's the magic is for this. So this valve you can use for the heating, for the radiators, and for the heating system, because the water in the heating system doesn't exchange. This is even the same. It's always the same. And normally you put in some anti-gel or something, just in case for winter, that it doesn't freeze if you're in the countryside and you go on holiday and you don't want to heat your house. But the ball valve in a water, in a cold water, which permanently obviously running through for your cooking, or for the hot water, for the showering, or whatever you use it for, does this, and the valve cannot turn. Now this one could turn, but we still changed it because at some point it will crack. But look at the mess. Look at the mess in the pipe, in the copper pipe. Now on the other hand, and that's again I learned from the plumber, this is the valves you have to use for the cold and hot water. They have here a rubber seal, and there is no lime scale can damage them. But if they were to be damaged with the lime scale, all you need to do, leave the whole thing inside. You can leave it inside. Take out this the valve bit itself. This all stays. You don't have to disconnect anything. You don't have to solder anything. It's all good. And just replace this bit with the rubber inside for peanuts. Instead of here, there's nothing you can do. You can't replace anything inside. And it snaps off very, very easily. So always with hot water and cold water, use that valve with the rubber. And for the heating, use those valves. So these were correct. Not correctly done, because if that goes for one reason, again, you see, you can't disconnect it. You have to get the pipe, you have to redo it. So normally, if you insert one of those, you have to have a Hollander here, which you can take off from one side. This then you can take out from here. That's not an issue. But you don't have to cut the pipe. You just don't have to cut the pipe. Here, it's a different story, because this circulation pump has a Hollander. So if that goes, I take off the pump. I can then turn it out from here, and it's all good. Now, the plumber told me, I said, now why am I not using those for everything then? And he said, but for the heating, which is running on 55 or 60 degrees, those valves are not ideal because of the rubber inside. Now I appreciate you want to say, yeah, but why are you using it for the warm water? Yes, that is a very fair. That is a very very fair question. But the warm water you use to wash your hands and to shower, it's nowhere near as hot as the heating in the radiators. So again, theoretically, you could use for the heating the same with the rubber, but there will be the rubber will pop sooner. And again, if it pops here in the warm one, then you just change the insert, and you're gonna be all right. Water's gonna be running out anyway, so you will see very very soon. I'm not a plumber, I'm not a professional, and I'm not here to teach plumbers, but I'm certainly here to teach cowboys, like my dad in plumbing, and people um, who just generally wants to learn, um, DIY man who didn't know that, just myself, and maybe apprentices who haven't been told that. So I'd say donkey doggies for checking out this video. I really hope you learned something. Like, share, comment, and of course, Araua from Austria.